Welcome to Motivational Humanity. You are not alone.
You know, I've come to realize something over the years. Something that life has a funny way of teaching you when you've been broken a few times, misunderstood a few more, and still choose to rise anyway. Smart people, truly wise people, aren't the loudest in the room. They're not the ones telling you everything about their plans, their hearts, or their next move. Because wisdom isn't about how much you say, it's about what you choose not to say. So tonight, I want to share something that's been sitting heavy in my heart. Smart people never share three things. And if you listen closely, it might just change how you move through the world. You know, I've noticed something fascinating about truly wise people. They're quiet when they're building. They're calm when everyone else is showing off. And they're patient when the world is rushing. See, smart people don't announce every idea, every dream, every plan. Not because they're secretive or proud, but because they've learned the hard way that sometimes, when you expose your dream too early, it stops breathing. You ever notice that? You tell someone about something beautiful that's still forming in your heart, and instead of encouragement, you get a little dose of doubt. They might mean well, but their fear rubs off on you. Suddenly that fire inside you, that little spark, it starts flickering. When I was younger, I used to talk a lot about what I was going to do. Oh, I'm going to write this book. I'm going to start that project. I'm going to change everything. And you know what? After I talked about it long enough, I almost felt like I'd already done it. Talking gave me the illusion of progress, but not the substance. Then I met this woman, older, wiser, grounded, and she said, "Brene, stop talking about the garden you're planting. Go water it." That one sentence changed me. She was right. Dreams don't grow under spotlights. They grow underground, in the quiet, in the dark, in the consistency that no one sees. Smart people understand that silence isn't secrecy. It's strategy. They protect what's still growing because they know energy leaks through words. Every time you talk about a goal too soon, you release a little of that sacred energy that was meant to help you do it. So instead of telling everyone what they're working on, smart people just keep showing up. They wake up early, they do the work. They fail privately, they adjust quietly. And one day, when they finally speak, they don't need to convince anyone, because the results do all the talking. So if you're in a season right now where you're building something, a dream, a new version of yourself, maybe a quiet comeback, keep it close. Guard it like a secret between you and God. Don't look for approval too soon. Don't explain your every step. You owe no one an explanation for a vision they didn't receive. It wasn't emailed to them. It was whispered to you. Stay quiet while you grow. Let your work, your peace, and your progress speak louder than your words ever could. Because smart people, they don't shout their dreams. They live them silently, consistently, and with unshakable purpose. You know, we live in a time where everyone is sharing everything. Every meal, every thought, every feeling, every heartbreak. Out there for the world to see. And I get it. It comes from a need to feel seen, to feel connected, to say, hey, I'm here. This is my story. But somewhere along the way, we confused connection with exposure. And there's a big difference. Smart people, the emotionally wise ones, they understand that not everything sacred needs to be public. They don't hide their lives because they're cold or secretive. They just know that peace lives where privacy begins. I remember sitting with a friend once. She was going through something really painful, a betrayal, a heartbreak that left her cracked wide open. And she said to me, "I want to post everything. I want to tell the world what he did to me." And I looked at her and said, "You could do that. You have every right to your story, but ask yourself, will it bring you healing or just attention?" See, there's a kind of silence that isn't weakness. It's wisdom. It's the silence that says, my pain is real, but it's not everyone's business. Because when you share your story with people who don't value it, they turn it into gossip. When you share it with people who haven't earned your trust, they hold it carelessly. And when you share it with the world too soon, you give others the power to define what you're still trying to understand. Smart people protect their personal lives like a sacred garden. They know not everyone deserves to walk through it. Not because people are bad, but because some don't know how to handle beauty that's still healing. They don't tell everyone what they're struggling with, who they love, or what's breaking them open right now, because they've learned that healing happens in safety, not in spectacle. Transparency isn't the same as vulnerability. Transparency is saying, here's everything. Take a look. Vulnerability is saying, here's what I'm ready to share, and only with those who've earned the right to hear it. And that difference, that's where self-respect lives. When you stop giving every part of yourself to people who haven't proven they can hold it, something powerful happens. You start feeling lighter. Your peace starts expanding, and you begin to realize not everyone needs to know your story for it to matter. Smart people love deeply, but they love quietly. They celebrate privately. They grieve privately. They pray privately. Because they've learned that the most beautiful parts of life lose their power when they're performed for an audience. So the next time you're tempted to explain yourself to someone who doesn't deserve access to your heart, stop. Remember, silence can be sacred. Privacy can be healing. And peace is the reward for knowing what to keep to yourself. Because smart people don't share everything. They've learned that not all of life's treasures were meant to be seen. Some were meant to be felt. I used to believe that being generous meant giving everything I knew to everyone I met. Every insight, every lesson, every idea. I thought the more I gave, the better I was. But life has a way of teaching you the hard truth. Not everyone is ready for what you carry. Not everyone can handle the weight of your wisdom. And sometimes, giving too much too soon, it dilutes your power. I remember a time when I was mentoring a young woman, bright, ambitious, full of fire. I shared everything I knew with her. Every shortcut, every life hack, every story of how I'd survived heartbreak, loss, failure. I thought I was helping her. I thought I was lighting her path. And then one day, she came to me frustrated. I feel overwhelmed, she said. I don't know which advice to follow. I'm lost in it all. That's when I realized wisdom isn't about handing out all the answers. It's about knowing when to share, what to share, and with whom. Smart people understand this. They know knowledge is power, yes, but it's also energy. Every lesson you give away is a piece of yourself. And if you give it to someone who isn't ready to receive it, it's wasted. Or worse, it's misunderstood, twisted, or used against you. There's also a humility in holding back. It's not arrogance. It's respect for the other person and for yourself. You respect that they have their own path to walk, their own lessons to learn, their own time to grow. You respect that your truth is not a magic wand. It is a guide, but only for those willing to walk with it. And here's the most beautiful part. When you hold back wisely, when you save some wisdom for those who are truly ready, what you share lands deeper. It resonates. It sticks. It transforms. So if you're in a place right now where you're tempted to give all your knowledge away, pause. Think about who truly needs it. Think about who can hold it with care. Think about who will honor it, not just listen to it. Smart people know that the right lesson at the wrong time is like a seed planted on rock. It won't grow. But the right lesson, delivered at the right time, to the right person, it can change everything. Smart people don't give everything away. They choose carefully. They protect their energy. And they understand that sometimes silence is the greatest gift of all. In this world, we are constantly told that visibility equals value. If people don't see us, we aren't enough. If people aren't applauding, noticing, liking, or commenting, then somehow our work, our lives, our very selves don't matter. But smart people, they've learned a different truth. They've learned that privacy is not about hiding. It's about protecting the most sacred parts of your life. Your peace, your dreams, your growth, from the world's noise. I remember someone once asked me, Brene, why don't you post everything online? Why not show all your work, your struggles, your thoughts? And I said, because some things aren't meant to be performed for applause. Some things are meant to be lived in quiet dignity. Smart people understand that chasing validation is exhausting and empty. They know that popularity can't replace self-worth, that likes can't heal a broken heart, and that approval can't teach courage. Instead, They focus on their own becoming. They wake up early when the house is quiet. They read, they reflect, they write, they pray. And they do it not for anyone else, but because they are cultivating something real inside themselves. Think about it. If you live your life in public, constantly seeking recognition, what happens when the applause stops? What happens when someone criticizes you or misunderstands you or ignores you completely? You feel empty, don't you? Because your peace has been outsourced to someone else's opinion. Smart people don't do that. They cultivate their inner world, their private life, their sacred spaces. They celebrate victories quietly because they know joy isn't measured by an audience. They grieve privately because sorrow deserves intimacy, not commentary. They dream in silence because sacred things grow best where they're protected from outside interference. And here's the secret. The more you protect your privacy, the stronger you become. The more you value your inner life, the less fragile you are in the face of the world's judgment. The more you honor your boundaries, the more freedom you experience. So if you're tempted to show the world everything, your struggles, your triumphs, your heart, pause. Ask yourself, do they need to see this? Do they deserve this part of me? Will sharing it serve my growth, or just feed someone else's curiosity? Smart people choose privacy over popularity. They know that peace isn't public, it isn't on display. It lives quietly, safely, deeply in the spaces we guard for ourselves. Because when you learn to value your privacy over applause, your life becomes your own again. And that is freedom. You know, one of the hardest lessons I've learned is that vulnerability is sacred. Not everyone can handle it. Not everyone is ready to see your wounds, your fears, your cracks. Smart people understand this. They know the difference between being vulnerable and being exposed, and they protect their hearts accordingly. I remember a time when I thought sharing everything I was feeling, every fear, every insecurity, would make people love me more. And for a while it did. Or so I thought. But then, slowly, I realized some people weren't holding my vulnerability with care. They were using it against me. They were judging it, twisting it, or dismissing it entirely. And every time that happened, a little piece of me retreated. A little piece of me stopped trusting. That's when I learned one of life's most painful, yet empowering truths. Not everyone deserves access to your heart. Smart people share their weaknesses only with those who have earned the right to see them. They don't withhold out of pride. They withhold out of protection for the sacred, tender parts of themselves. Because those parts, they are fragile. And not everyone is capable of holding fragility with grace. I remember a friend once telling me, "You can't pour from an empty cup. You can't give your heart to someone who doesn't know how to love it." And I think about that often. Because vulnerability isn't just about telling the truth. It's about trusting that the other person will meet it with care, not cruelty. Smart people don't hide their hearts forever. They just choose carefully. They open up slowly. They look for the safe spaces, the people who will honor their pain, who will hold it without judgment, who will walk beside them in both joy and sorrow. And here's the beauty of it. When you share your heart with the right person, when you allow someone to truly see you, it can transform everything. It can heal old wounds. It can deepen love. It can give you the courage to stand taller, to be braver, to live more fully. So if you're in a place where your heart feels exposed, or you're tempted to share too much too soon, pause. Ask yourself, who deserves to see this part of me? Who can hold my story without breaking it? Because smart people never share their weaknesses with everyone. They save them for the safe, sacred spaces. They protect their hearts, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. And in doing so, they make room for real connection, real love, and real growth. Vulnerability is a gift, but it is meant for those who can honor it. And when you give it wisely, it becomes the most powerful force in your life. At the end of the day, being smart isn't about having all the answers. It's about learning the art of silence, knowing that not everything needs to be said, not everyone deserves access, and not every battle needs to be fought. Protect your peace, guard your dreams, and move quietly, not because you're afraid, but because you've finally learned that sacred things grow best in silence. Smart people don't hide it. They just choose peace over performance. And that's real wisdom.